What is up, guys, and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7, and today is our next entry in the GT7 1.55 update chronicles. And today we're going to do the next car that I really think is the most interesting, from the most interesting to least interesting. Last time out we did the F3500A, and that was a fun car, but I wanted to try out something slightly different this time, and that is going to be the new Hyundai Ioniq 5N that was added to the game. So let's see if they added any cool sound effects on startup. No, not really. But yeah, so this car, of course, if you guys aren't familiar, it was the gift for watching the viewers campaign for the Nations Cup. If you guys watched that at the World Finals, you got one of these for free already. But we're going to take a look at the stock configuration. There's not really a whole lot to upgrade on this car. It acts like there is a ECU upgrade, oddly enough, and obviously like weight reduction and stuff. We're going to leave the car stock. We're going to do one run with the car stock, and then we're going to go and modify it, similar to what I did with my Racing Modified series. Back when I did that. We're going to resume that soon, but I'm saving that nameplate for cars that were already in the game by the time this update came around. So let's see, we're going to go to the Dragon Trail Seaside, or not Dragon Trail Seaside, the Dragon Trail Gardens track, which is where I did all the testing with these cars during that Racing Modified series. So the fastest time around here, apparently I did a lot more than just that out here. Yeah, alright, let's just take it out and see what we got. Okay, so they did not simulate the gears, which is Alright, right away, the fact that they didn't simulate the fake 8-speed sucks. I was really kind of vibing that they were going to do that. And apparently they did not. The heads-up display is nice. Holy understeer, this thing corners so bad. Oh my goodness. It does have an overtake function, which I've noticed. Oh my goodness, the brakes too. This thing is not great, honestly. I'm very unimpressed with it. It does not feel very fast. Let's see what the overtake does. The brakes just do not feel like they're going to stop this thing. A little bit of a tail slide. Okay. I was really hoping they would emulate the 8-speed, the fake 8-speed that these things do. I know someone who has one of these. I don't know them personally, but I have a friend who has a friend that owns one of these. And that seems like it makes or breaks this car. So the fact that they didn't do that is very disappointing. Holy cow, this thing is just, it's unwieldy. It's really just not very rewarding to drive. It understeers if you even breathe wrong. It's not very fun. I think I would much rather be driving the Taycan if I was going to drive an EV in this game. Man, this thing just does not slow down. The tires are screaming for mercy. Alright, this is not a good lap. I don't know if it's the regen braking that makes it feel so slow, but my goodness, does it feel slow. But the interior is nice. They did do a really good job detailing the interior in this car. It's got the bucket seats, which having a friend that has a Veloster and he used to have a Veloster with these seats, they are pretty comfortable for buckets. The interior is nice in this thing, I will say, especially for a Hyundai. But I would have really liked it if they had simulated the 8-speed, the fake 8-speed that these cars have in certain modes, but it appears that they did not do that. So that's unfortunate, but anyway, let's go and mess with it and see what we can get up to with this thing. Alright, let's see. So we don't have a whole lot. We can do weight reduction, obviously, which we are going to do, because this thing needs it. I mean, she's pretty heavy. She's a heavy car. We got a fully customizable ECU. I don't really know what that's going to do for us here. Honestly, like, it's an EV. Like, what's the point? I usually do the chassis, but I'm not going to this time. We're going to definitely need brake pads on this car. And I'm going to change it up. I used to do the slotted rotors. I'm going to do the drill rotors. We're going to do the coilover kit, the weight reduction, the final stage of weight reduction. And we are racing soft tires on it as well. There is a 5th stage of weight reduction. It actually is quite a large one at that. And I think just for thoroughness, we'll do it. I usually don't, but for thoroughness, I'll do it. See, I'm curious now what it's going to do. If it's going to, now that I put the adjustable ECU in it, if it's going to pretend that 8-speed exists now, or what. But I will say I'm pretty unimpressed with this thing so far. I kind of had higher hopes for it going into this update. We'll see how it drives modified, but I was definitely not keen on how it drove from the beginning there at stock. So it makes a tiny bit more power. It weighs significantly less. Let's see if all that weight reduction and adding some juice to it does anything for it. Still no fake 8-speed. I think that's probably the biggest disservice they could have done with this car, is not add that fake 8-speed transmission. Right away, it does feel a lot better to drive. We're using the overtake function here. Brakes still don't feel very good. But I will say, still understeery, but it is very improved in comparison to the car's stock form. This thing is still kind of a handful to drive. You guys probably noticed that by now. I've had a couple little incidents in this thing that I usually don't have in most cars. But this thing definitely requires a little bit of extra help. I think it definitely was overhyped, I will say. All things considered. Come on. See, that understeer is just ridiculous, even on racing soft tires with the fully customizable. Now, I didn't adjust it, so that might be where I need to do some work there, is adjusting the suspension, but you have to be early on the brakes, because it does appear the regenerative braking does slow this thing down quite a bit, or make it harder for it to slow down. In medium speed corners, it's fairly good. There is a positive. There's a positive that this is probably one of the more fun, bigger cars in the game. Gosh, these brakes are so bad, even with the racing setup. It's a definitely huge improvement. The car ran a 153 last time out, and it ran a 137 this time. So, well, I'm standing on the brakes. I'm standing on these brakes. Just for fun, let's launch it. I don't think I have to have the e-brake on to launch it. That's 60. And now I know these things in real life are fairly fast. It just doesn't feel that way in the game. All right, so what does that get on the final leaderboard? 137 is a pretty respectable time. Still, just the car has a lot to do. It does crack the top 10, but it still gets beat by Audi TTs. So there's that, a fully modified one, and it's under 700 performance points. You could theoretically run this car in the WTC 700 race at La Sarthe to grind. I wouldn't do it, but you could. It is nice that it has sound, but I do think it's a disservice they didn't put the fake transmission in it. So all in all, I'm going to give the car probably about a 5 out of 10. I think to be generous, I'll give it a 6. Because the driving dynamics stock were atrocious. Like, they were embarrassingly bad. I have never driven a car in this game that I did not enjoy driving as much as that. Except for maybe that Tesla Model 3. I definitely didn't enjoy that one either. But, I mean, I will say the benefits of this thing are, it's an EV that's not a Taycan or a Tesla that's in this game now, or that Sony thing. It does look great. I've always said the Ioniq 5 looked great. And, you know, the interior is pretty nice to look around, especially in VR. You have a lot of it's a nice interior to be in, but I do think this car was overhyped when they were releasing this update, just because I'm very unimpressed with how it drove in the final game, and how the fact that they did not do that 8-speed. I know I've harped on it a lot in this video. The lack of that pretend 8-speed transmission, which I think is what gave the Ioniq 5N an edge over its competitors, just not being present at all in this game is just kind of a disappointment. But I will say it's cool the gauges in the center work. Not a lot of cars in this game have functioning center screens, so it's really nice to see. You guys saw it's not doing anything now, obviously, because we're in the VR, I don't know if it's called VR Escapes or just VR Showroom, I think it was. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, nice to look at, but it just does not drive very good, and I'm pretty unimpressed with that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up here. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day.